UFC Fight Night, Grasso versus Araujo. Full card prediction, we got the main event, Alexa Grasso and Viviane Araujo. Not the best main event. Originally, we were supposed to have Sean Strickland and Jared Cannonier. I would have gone Sean Strickland to win a very, very controversial split decision. Probably like a 48-47 on the judges' scorecards, but finger infection due to literal Sean Strickland's opponent or his training partner biting his finger open and infecting it with something. He had to have surgery for it a little while ago, so that fight's canceled. Now we got a new main event. Not sure what the co-main's going to be, but we got Martinez and Swanson, Royval, Askarov, Alonzo, Menifield, Misha, Cirkunov, and Magny and Rodriguez on the main card. Prelims, you can look at them if you want. But one of them has been canceled in Joanderson Brito, Milsig, Bagdasarian. No news yet if we're going to get a replacement fighter, because Milsig did end up breaking his hand, isn't out of that fight. So, again, I don't know if Joe Anderson's going to get a short notice opponent to step up right here, but we'll see about that. So, originally, and now, right now, as we're recording the video, we only got 12 fights in the card. It's not the best card, but we do have a few ranked fighters in Magny, Rodriguez, Royval, Askarov, Grasso, and Araujo. So there will be a little bit of ranking shift after this UFC Fight Night. But if you made it this far in the video, go down and subscribe, turn on those notifications. Let's get into it. We got the first one here in the middleweight division. Dusko Todorovic and Jordan Wright in the middleweight division. Jordan Wright not doing too good, man. Got a guillotine choke submission loss to Marc-Andre Barriault. He chose to go for a takedown on Marc-Andre Barriault for whatever reason. I don't know why. And he ended up getting submitted in that fight. Got knocked out by Bruno Silva in his last fight in a minute or two of round number 1. Did get some good wins on Ike Villanueva due to doctor stoppage. Huge cut over the eye. And then got Jamie Pickett's back to the cage and knocked him out. But Jamie Pickett, not the highest level UFC middleweight, and Ike Villanueva is, well, no longer in the UFC. A lot of these guys that have good power in their hands are able to just go out there, get Jordan Wright's back to the cage, and just start throwing bombs. Because Jordan Wright's chin really is not that good. He's going to get knocked out in this fight by Dusko Todorovic. Dusko knocked out Maki Patolo in their fight with ground and pound. He also got a ground and pound knockout win on Daquan Townsend. He's only losing fights to Gregory Rodriguez, Punahele Soriano, and Chidi and Jokawani, who are able to defend the takedowns of Dusko Todorovic. So if Dusko is able to land the takedowns on Jordan Wright, this should be no problemo. He's going to pressure Jordan to the cage, land some knees, land some elbows, clinch up, land some good shots, get the takedown, and ground and pound the heck out of Jordan Wright. I think this one will be a little bit longer because usually Jordan is getting knocked out by guys on the feet, but I think Dusko takes him down and gets the ground and pound TKO. Nick Maximov and Jacob Malkoun in the middleweight division, wrestler versus wrestler, but one is a lot taller, one is a lot lengthier, and one is a lot better of a striker in Nick Maximov, undefeated until, well, he was not when he lost to Andre Petrosky as a 3-1, 4-1 favorite in that fight. But he beat Punahele Soriano and Cody Brundage. He's got good wrestling offense, decent wrestling defense as well. Only reason he lost to Andre is because he was a little bit, lackadaisical when he was going in for that takedown. So if this is a 3-round striking fight, which I kind of think it will be, wrestler versus wrestler, gonna be kind of like Kobe Covington versus Usman, where no one's able to either get a takedown or get the takedown and control their opponent on the ground. Should be a striking fight. Nick has better kicks, he's taller, he's lengthier, throws a little bit more volume, got a little bit more power. Jacob's striking really is not that good at all. I think he's going to get outstruck for 3 rounds and lose a unanimous decision. That one is canceled. Bantamweight division, Rafael Assunção and Victor Henry in the bantamweight division. Yeah, Rafael not doing too good on a 4-fight losing streak, 40 years old in the bantamweight division. Not as tall, not as lengthy as Victor Henry. Similar experience level between the two, but UFC experience definitely goes for a Rafael Assunção. If I was Rafael, I'm looking to wrestle, I'm looking to grapple, or I'm looking to close that distance and land some big shots on the inside onto Victor Henry, because if he's not able to do so and not able to close that distance, Victor is going to pick him apart on the outside. He's got a good kicking game, good front kicks and leg kicks, and he's very fast. There's more volume than Rafael Assunção. I think that's going to be the factor here. Rafael's not as fast as he was earlier on in his career, doesn't throw as much volume, and isn't going to be able to get into the inside of Victor Henry as usual. And he didn't get knocked out by Corey Sandhagen when they fought 3 years ago. Barely got knocked out in the last second, or even after the last second against Cody Garbrandt. And then he lost to Ricky Simone. I don't really think Victor Henry has that kind of power. Only one knockout win in his last 5 fights. He's still solid, though. I'm going to go Victor Henry to outstrike Rafael Assunção on the feet, using the high, using the reach, staying on the outside, mixing in the kicks at range, and the speed and the volume to win a decision in that one. Mike Jackson and Pete Rodriguez in the welterweight division. Both guys, not too good, but Pete Rodriguez is a little bit better. Not as tall, not as lengthy as Mike Jackson, but this is not one of the fights where it's going to matter. Yeah, Mike is, I guess, decent at range with the kickboxing, good leg kicks, good body kicks, jabbing a 1-2 and on the outside. But come on, Pete Rodriguez is a killer. This dude is going to come forward, pressure the heck out of Mike Jackson, get his back to the cage, and he's just going to start to throw. He might not knock out Mike Jackson immediately in this fight, but he will get his back to the cage and just start ripping to the head of Mike Jackson. Left hook, right hook, overhand, and he might even go for a takedown. I'm not even joking. He's got a good trip takedown as well. So it's either he catches him as his back is to the cage with a big hook right on the chin, or he takes him down and just starts ground and pounding and finishes Mike Jackson. It's a fairly self-explanatory one. Pete Rodriguez to win this one by TKO in round 1 in this fight. Mana Martinez and Brandon Davis in the bantamweight division. Brandon Davis not doing too good inside of the UFC, but he has been fighting some good opponents, like Giga Chikadze that he got a split decision loss to, Enrique Barzola, Zabit, Magomed Sharipov right there, beating Steven Peterson and Randy Costa, and most recently getting knocked out pretty badly by Dana Bakaril. But in this fight, I see it going all the way. Height and reach is going to be pretty even. Striking skills do go Mana Martinez. He does throw with a little bit more speed and a little bit more power than Brandon Davis. Also throws a bit more volume than Brandon Davis does as well. If I'm Brandon, I'm trying to pressure here. I'm trying to use some movement to get on the inside of Mana Martinez and work to wrestle and grapple, but I don't think he's going to land the takedowns like Ronnie Lawrence was able to do in their fight. I see this one staying on the feet for 3 rounds. Aside from the Dana Banjaril fight, I haven't seen Brandon Davis really get close to getting knocked out by any of his opponents, including Giga Chikadze. So I think this one goes all the way. Mana Martinez lands more shots and counters on the outside and wins 2 out of 3 rounds to a unanimous decision. CJ Vergara and Tatsuro Taira in the flyweight division. I'm going to go Tatsuro Taira to win. He is 22 and a half years old in this flyweight division. He is taller. He is lengthier. He is younger, similar experience, even at his young age. I think Tatsuro Taira is going to go out there and land more volume on the feet than CJ Vergara, countering him as he is coming in. He's got very good movement, able to get out of the center line of CJ Vergara very well. Anytime CJ starts throwing those big hooks and things like that, looking for the flying knee and the left hook and the right hook, looking for that finish on Tatsuro Taira. Well, Tatsuro Taira is just going to move out of the way, counter with a good body kick, counter with a jab or 1-2, and eventually CJ is going to get really frustrated, and he's just going to start bolting in to Tatsuro to land those big shots, and Tatsuro Taira is going to mix in the takedowns and control the fight on the grounds. So I think Tatsuro is better on the feet, better on the ground, going to use all that to win a unanimous decision. Piera Rodriguez and Sam Hughes in the strawweight division. Wrestler versus sort of wrestler, I would say, in Piera Rodriguez. She's got good takedowns, good wrestling, and good takedown defense as well. We saw in her Svetlana Gotis fight over there in the LFA that she definitely has that ground and pound and wrestling game that same Hughes has as well, as we saw in her Elise Reed fight. But I don't think this one's going to be a wrestling fight. Again, like I said in another fight that was on this card, going to be kind of like Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman. Neither girl is going to be able to take down the other one. And if they are able to take down the other one, they're not going to control for really that long. They should be 3 rounds of striking. And Piera Rodriguez, I believe, hits a little bit harder and has a bit of a better kicking game. That's really all I need to know. For women's MMA, it comes down to those little things. If they're even the wrestling, and it's going to be 3 rounds of striking, who has a better kicking game and who hits harder. That's Piera Rodriguez. So I'm going to go for her to win by a decision. Neil Magny and Daniel Rodriguez in the welterweight division. Close fight. Daniel's got the better boxing. He's going to throw a little bit more volume than Neil Magny right here. Neil is taller. Neil is lengthier, so it's going to force D-Rod to have to close that distance and pressure forward on Neil Magny. But I actually think Neil Magny is going to have some good success in this fight with the clinch game, with the wrestling, with the elbows, with the knees in the clinch and things like that, and stand on the outside of Daniel Rodriguez. Usually when there's this big of a height and reach disparity in an MMA fight, it kind of forces the smaller guy to put on heavy pressure, try to kind of close that distance on the opponents, and it leads to them closing the distance so much to where they get counter with the jab of Neil Magny, counter with the 1-2 of Neil Magny, or even if they are able to get in the inside, Neil is going to, boom, get in those underhooks, get the fight to the clinch, land some good knees, land some good elbows, maybe even go for a takedown as well. So it's an interesting one. If D-Rod is able to stay away from the clinch situations and the wrestling sequences, and he's able to close that distance, well, he's probably going to win this fight. But I think Neil Magny will keep the fight at range on the feet, just pick him apart on the outside, landing some good shots, some 1-2, some leg kicks, some body kicks, some front kicks. And when D-Rod does close the distance, some knees in the clinch, some elbows in the clinch, and I think Neil will land a little bit more volume in this fight and win a very close 29-28 decision. We got Misha Cirkunov, Alonzo Menifield in the light heavyweight division. Misha Cirkunov is going to be the better grappler, the better jiu-jitsu guy, going out there, Peruvian necktying Jimmy Crute in their fight. Then he got knocked out bad by Ryan Spann, lost a decision to Krzysztof Jotko, and then got armbarred by Wellington Turman. He is moving back up to the light heavyweight division. He's taller and lengthier than Alonzo, but Alonzo is younger. He's more explosive, has the power advantage, and he's kind of shown that he's got good takedown defense in his last few fights. I don't expect the finish here. Misha, in this fight right here, I think he's going to use his threat of a submission and things like that to kind of stay away from getting knocked out of Alonzo Menifield. I think if Alonzo is going to get a knockout here, it'll happen because he lands a takedown on Misha Cirkunov and just starts ground and pounding like he did with Askar Morzarov and like he did earlier on in his career with Paul Craig. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Alonzo Menifield, Misha Cirkunov goes to a decision, and Alonzo keeps the fight on the feet, defends the takedowns, and just lands the harder shots. Kind of does what he did against Ed Herman in their fight, making it a technical, striking fight, and wins all 3 rounds. Brandon Royval and Askar Askarov in the flyweight division. I'm going to go Askar Askarov to win. He is actually a little bit younger than Brandon Royval here. Not as tall, not as lengthy as Royval, but he's the better striker. He's going to come forward, putting on that pressure towards Brandon, and he's going to land a heck of a lot more volume. Brandon is a little bit of a wild card in this flyweight division. He's going to be throwing all sorts of weird strikes, some weird head kicks, and doing some like Granby rolls. I mean, he's going to do a lot of crazy things in this fight. But Askar Askarov's technique is a little bit better. He's got a little bit better boxing, a little bit crisper boxing. His chin is a bit better as well. And if the fight does hit the mat, I don't really see Brandon Royval posing much of a threat onto Askar Askarov. If this is a 3-round grappling match, I think Askar Askarov is able to not get submitted by Brandon and control the fight on top, maybe even get the back of Brandon Royval like Alexandre Pantoja was able to do. But it should be an interesting one. I think Askarov is going to go out there, keep the fight very even on the feet, land a little bit more volume, but mix in the takedowns, maybe mix in some submission attempts, and win it by a 29-28 decision. Jonathan Martinez and Cub Swanson in the bantamweight division. Jonathan is going to be throwing a lot more volume in this fight. He's 10 years younger than Cub Swanson. Power is going to be pretty even here between Cub and Jonathan Martinez. Cub coming off a good knockout win on Darren Elkins, but he's not doing that on Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan's got some good head movement, good front kicks to the body kicks and things like that. And I do believe he's going to be the faster striker here than Cub Swanson. He's going to be landing a little bit more volume than Cub. If Cub has a chance to win this one, he's going to need to pressure the heck out of Jonathan Martinez, get to those clinch situations, break the clinch, and start throwing bombs. Hope to land on the chin of Jonathan Martinez, possibly knock him out, maybe even just rock him on the feet. Cub needs to make this a war. Cub needs to make this a battle if he wants to win. If not, I think Jonathan's too technical, too fast, and is going to stay on the outside and win the fights. Stay on the outside in the striking. I'm going to go Jonathan to win 2-1 by a unanimous decision. Alexa Grasso and Viviane Araujo in the flyweight division, the main event of the evening. 29 and 36 almost years old. Alexa is going to be a little bit taller. Viviane is going to be a little bit lengthier, but not going to matter too much to me. I think Viviane is going to go out there, probably win round number 1, landing some takedowns, getting some control time, using the clinch to her advantage. But round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, all of those type of rounds, maybe she might win round 2 as well. But a lot of those later rounds, when they're a little bit more sweaty, they've been fighting for a little bit, and it's going to be a lot harder for Viviane Araujo to land those takedowns onto Alexa Grasso. It is going to mainly be a striking battle, and once it is a striking battle, once Viviane Araujo is unable to land those takedowns on Alexa Grasso in those later rounds, that's where Alexa starting to really let go with her strikes, starting to land the leg kicks, land the body kicks, stay in the outside, 1-2, 1-2, boom, moving her head, getting the inside of Viviane Araujo, landing some combinations, some good jabs, some good 1-2s, and some good kicks as well. And I do think Viviane will have some success early on in this fight, but she'll gas a little bit towards the tail end of this one. And Alexa Grasso, being Mexican, having that very good cardio, having the very good boxing, is really just gonna punish Viviane Araujo in those later rounds. So I think 3-2, Viviane will win round number 1 and will win at least one of the other rounds. But the striking of Alexa, the cardio of Alexa, and just the overall volume of Alexa will get the win, and I got her by a unanimous decision. That is the full card prediction for UFC Fight Night Grasso versus Araujo. I got Alexa Grasso winning, Jonathan Martinez winning, Askarov, Alonzo Menifield, Magny very, very slightly, Piera Rodriguez, Tatsuro Taira, Martinez, Pete Rodriguez, Victor Henry, Nick Maximov, and Dusko Todorovic. This is definitely looking like a favorite type of card. The only underdogs I think have a good chance of winning, possibly Jacob Malkoun if he's able to get that takedown. Brandon Davis is a very, very live underdog, and Daniel Rodriguez as well as Brandon Royval. Cub Swanson maybe, but I do think this one is going to be a mainly favorite type of card. There's going to be like 1 or 2, maybe 3 underdogs on it. I expect 70, 80, maybe even 90% of this card will be favorite wins. So Grasso, Martinez, Askarov, Menifield, Magny, Rodriguez, Taira right there, Martinez, Pete Rodriguez, Victor Henry, Nick Maximov, and Dusko Todorovic as the prediction. Make sure to go down and like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.